Most people train glutes for months and see very little growth. They squat, they lunge, they follow workout plans they found online. And despite all that effort, the results never seem to match the work. Eventually, frustration sets in, not because they're lazy, not because they're inconsistent, but because something isn't connecting. Here's the truth. Most people aren't using the wrong exercises. They're using the right exercises the wrong way. That's why this video isn't just about the best glute exercises. It's about how those exercises should actually feel when the glutes are doing their job. Because once you understand that, progress becomes much more predictable. And stay until the end. Because we'll cover the biggest reason most people never feel their glutes at all, no matter how hard they train. Hip thrusts. The barbell hip thrust is one of the best glute building exercises available, but it's also one of the easiest to perform incorrectly. Most people focus entirely on moving the weight. The glutes become an afterthought. Before the rep starts, plant your feet firmly and brace your core. As the hips rise, think about driving through your heels and creating tension through the glutes. The biggest mistake is allowing the lower back and quads to dominate the movement. At the top, your glutes should feel like they're holding the entire position in place, not just squeezing for a moment, controlling it. Many lifters rush through this part. Instead, pause briefly and own the contraction. When performed correctly, tension builds throughout the entire rep rather than appearing only at the top. If the movement feels like lifting weight, you're probably using the wrong muscles. If it feels like controlling a contraction, you're doing it correctly. Romanian deadlifts. Romanian deadlifts are incredibly effective because they challenge the glutes in a stretched position. Unfortunately, most people never experience that stretch. The movement begins with a hip hinge. Push your hips backward while maintaining a slight bend in the knees. The most common mistake is turning the exercise into a squat. Once that happens, much of the glute involvement disappears. As you lower the weight, the glutes should feel loaded and lengthened. At the bottom, there should be a deep stretch under control. Not pain, not instability, just tension. The key is resisting the weight as it pulls downward. That's what creates the training effect. When done correctly, it feels like your glutes are controlling the entire movement from start to finish. Bulgarian split squats. Few exercises expose weakness like Bulgarian split squats. That's exactly what makes them valuable. They train the glutes while simultaneously improving balance, stability, and coordination. Most people stay too upright, which shifts more of the work into the quads. Instead, lean slightly forward and drive through the heel of the front foot. As you lower, the front glute should begin loading immediately. At the bottom, it should feel stretched and ready to drive the movement back upward. The goal is not simply moving up and down. The goal is allowing the glute to become the primary driver of the exercise. If your front glute feels like it's controlling the movement, you're on the right track. Cable kickbacks. Cable kickbacks are unique because they provide continuous tension throughout the movement, but that benefit disappears when momentum takes over. Start with the glute already engaged before moving, then slowly drive the leg backward. The movement should feel controlled, not explosive. At the end position, there should be a strong contraction, not just reaching the position, squeezing into it. The return phase matters too. Don't allow the weight to pull your leg back. Resist it. The glute should stay active from beginning to end. If the movement feels loose, you're probably using momentum. If the muscle stays engaged throughout the entire repetition, you're doing it correctly. Step up. Step-ups look simple, but they're one of the best tests of glute function. Most people unknowingly push off their back leg and remove tension from the working side. Instead, focus on driving through the heel of the front foot. The front glute should feel responsible for lifting your body, not assisting, driving. At the top, everything should feel stable and balanced. Then lower yourself under control. The descent is just as important as the ascent. When performed correctly, the movement feels almost one-sided. The front leg handles the work while the back leg provides minimal assistance. That's exactly what you're looking for. Glute bridges. Glute bridges are simple, but simplicity is often what makes an exercise effective. The biggest mistake is arching the lower back instead of using the glutes. Before moving, lightly engage the glutes. Then raise your hips under control. As you approach the top, the contraction should become stronger. Pause briefly. Feel the glutes holding the position. Then lower slowly. The goal isn't just movement, it's awareness, because many people don't realize when their lower back is taking over. Glute bridges help teach the body what proper glute engagement actually feels like, and that skill carries over into every other exercise. 45-degree back extensions. Most people think back extensions are a lower back exercise. That's why they miss one of the best glute building movements available. The key is changing your intention. Instead of thinking about lifting your chest, think about driving your hips through the movement. As you lower yourself, the glutes and hamstrings should lengthen under control. At the bottom, you should feel tension building in the posterior chain. Then drive your hips forward to return to the starting position. The biggest mistake is extending through the lower back. When that happens, the glutes stop being the primary driver. Instead, keep your spine relatively neutral and focus on squeezing your glutes as you rise. At the top, the contraction should feel powerful and deliberate, not rushed, not forced, just controlled. When done correctly, this exercise feels less like a back movement and more like a glute movement that happens to challenge the entire posterior chain. That's why so many experienced lifters use it to bring up stubborn glutes. Walking lunges. Walking lunges combine strength, balance, coordination, and glute development into a single movement. They're simple, but they're incredibly revealing. Each step forces the glutes to stabilize the hips while producing force through a full range of motion. The mistake most people make is rushing. They move from step to step without ever owning the position. Instead, focus on control. As you lower into each lunge, the front glute should begin loading immediately. At the bottom, you should feel stable and balanced. Then drive through the front heel and allow the glute to power you forward into the next step. The movement should feel smooth and athletic, not sloppy, not rushed. One of the reasons walking lunges are so effective is that they expose weaknesses quickly. If one side is less stable than the other, you'll feel it. If one glute isn't contributing enough, you'll notice it. That's valuable feedback. Because awareness creates improvement. When performed correctly, walking lunges feel like a series of controlled single-leg glute contractions connected together by movement. Why you don't feel your glutes. Now let's talk about the problem most people actually have: not feeling their glutes. This usually isn't a motivation problem, it's a movement pattern problem. Over time, your body learns shortcuts. If the glutes aren't activating properly, other muscles take over. The quads, the hamstrings, the lower back. Eventually, those compensations become automatic. That's why someone can perform all the right exercises and still struggle to grow their glutes. The body is solving the movement, but it's solving it with the wrong muscles. This is why slowing down matters. At first, it feels awkward, sometimes weaker, sometimes frustrating. But that's because you're teaching the body a new pattern. Then, something changes. You feel a contraction that wasn't there before. You feel tension exactly where it should be. And suddenly, the exercise makes sense. That's the moment most people have never experienced. Once it happens consistently, progress becomes much easier, because now the right muscle is finally doing the work. Real glute growth doesn't come from constantly changing exercises. It comes from improving execution, better reps, better contractions, better control. The exercises matter, but how you perform them matters even more. Stay consistent, stay patient, focus on quality. Because when effort and execution finally align, progress becomes much more predictable. And that's when real growth begins. If you enjoyed this video, subscribe to Elevate Human for more fitness content designed to help you move better, train smarter, and build real strength. And remember, the best glute exercise isn't the one that looks impressive. It's the one that allows your glutes to actually do the work.